life of people not only in Niger State but also.
Still a chance for Ian Robin. It's
let him shoot, let him shoot. No problem.
Good morning, beautiful people, and thanks for joining us. This morning we'll be going to the major headlines as published by Nigerian dailies. I'm Eleje Chidima. I'll begin with the Punch newspaper this morning. It has a major headline that says INEC CBN partnership on the threat over Emelifele's APC membership. INEC CBN partnership on the threat over Emelifele's APC membership. Commission to review CBN's role may move ballot papers from banks' vote. CBN cannot be trusted with sensitive materials under Emelifele, says NBA CSOs. No fear over Apex Bank Governor President should be, says ex-INEC Commissioner. That's the major headline on the Punch newspaper this morning, and you can get the full story of that on page 2. We have a story above that says refineries probe, reps greet silver carry today, says appearance compulsory. That's on page 31 on the Punch. On page 27 we have a story where queues persist in Abuja, petrol sells for 300 naira per litre. APC rule out imposition ground group speaks Jonathan Lawal's form. That's on page 19 on the Punch newspaper. That will take us below the major headline with a front page picture ASU strike. Students protest in Lagos Benin vow to storm National Assembly airport. That's the front page picture on the Punch newspaper this morning. Below we have a story, Tinubu Atiku lobby delegates promise to tackle nation's disunity. That's on page 9. On page 4 and 5 we have a story, NYSC controversy. Kwara Poly blames hackers in posters declared wanted. Abducted train passengers' families seek government intervention. That's on page 9. Federal government GSM operators to meet over 40% tariff hike. That's on page 28. On page 37 we have a story, Baptist president begs abductors to release Bethel students. On page 29, on page 28 we have another story, Buhari activates $19 billion climate pledge, 6 AFDP World Bank support. I think that's all we can take from the Punch newspaper this morning. Taking us to the next paper with me this morning, the Nation newspaper. The Nation newspaper with a major headline that says, Jonathan, I didn't authorize group to obtain APC form. This coming from Jonathan, I didn't authorize group to obtain APC form. That's the major headline on the Nation newspaper this morning. Above the major headline, we have a story that says, petrol security worsen in Abuja. Petrol scarcity worsen in Abuja. That's on page 29 of the Nation newspaper. Sokoto Zamfara fails to register pupil for WAEC. That's on page 29. Vastis Poly others get their fund intervention fund. Oyo introduce history in school curriculum. That's on page 9 and 27 of the Punch newspaper. Below the major headline, we have Buhari Jonathan's aide disagrees Lawal, Silva, Ayode, picks forms, court to rule on Emelifele's request. I think that's all we have on the Nation newspaper this morning. The Vanguard newspaper has a major headline that says, Methodist Church parents, students, kicks and gates ASU's continued strike. Methodist Church parents, students, kicks and gates ASU's continued strike. That's on page 5. Above we have a story, 10th century presidency while I want to resign now. CBN Governor Emelifele tells court. Aviation fuel airline operators meet reps leadership to buy product at 480 naira per litre. That's on page 8. On page 6 we have a story, bandits kill 8, abduct many, set condition for peace in Sokoto village. That's all we have above the major headline. Below we have federal government to give a posthumous award to Dr. Amoye Adedovo on Thursday. That's all we can take here. The next paper with me is the Daily Independence newspaper. It has a major headline, ASU extends strike by 3 months. Federal government has killed public universities, parents, activists, others lament. ASUP to embark on nationwide strike tomorrow. Ngige says Labour Ministry not employers of lecturers. That's the major headline on Daily Independence newspaper as published by Nigerian dailies this morning. Above we have Abuja Kaduna train track. A train attack don't resume service until abducted victims are rescued, says families. Says they are ready to negotiate with terrorists. More troubles for airline as marketers halt aviation fuel importation. That's all above the major headline on Daily Independent. We have a side story. 2023 WAEC, no candidates from Sokoto Zamfara as exam starts May 16th. That's on page 7. On page 6, we have a story. 2023 presidency. Al-Majir Headers Group picks APC nomination form for Jonathan. That's on page 6. Still on page 6, court summons INEC AGF over Emily Fair's presidential bid. I will still have one below. AMCON takes over asset of Aeroland Travel over 1.8 billion naira debt. That's still on page 6 on Daily Independence newspaper this morning. We have another major headline below that says government bets on subsea cable firm to meet broadband targets. I think that's all we can take from Daily Independent. We have another one below that says Lawal Silva joins 2023 presidential race. That's all we have on. And the next one and the last with me this morning, the New Telegraph newspaper has a major headline. It says NANS threatened to scuttle party primaries. Block NAS. That's the major headline. That's on ASU 3-month strike extension. It says federal government have delayed war over varsity students to occupy federal road beginning today. May shut down from May 14. Who state chapters on alert calls on NLC, TUC, CO's support. Varsities to get 642 million naira, Poly 396 million, COES 447 million each 10 phone. SUP to embark on strike over government inability to implement 2021 Pact. That's the major headline. You can find the story on page 5, 8, and 30 on the New Telegraph newspaper as published by Nigerian dailies. Above we have JP Morgan deletes Nigeria from emerging market list as NNPC fails to remit funds to government. We have a story again above that says court to INEC AGF showcase why Emily Fair shouldn't contest. That's on page 8. 2023 presidency, Ohaneze floats committee to war Emir Obas for zone support. We were committing blunders at NAS until Khan intervened, says Olubadan. That's on page 4 and 3. Still on page 3, we have a story. 2023 Nigeria chose she doesn't need part-time president, says Saraki. Below we have a side story that said Nzeribe 8 years ago, I doubt if we can get good democracy. APC Northern Group buys APC form for Jonathan. Lawal Silva Ayode join race. Carlo withdraws back Senate president. We can't defeat PDP with presidential candidates from South, says APC board member. That's all we have on the New Telegraph, and that will bring us to the newspaper headline review this morning. I'm Eleje Chidima. Do enjoy the rest of the day.
The life of people not only in Niger State, but also.
Still a chance for Ian Robin. It's
Let him shoot, let him shoot. No problem.
Nigeria about to exit second wave of COVID-19. Still on the headline
of nursing and midwifery to Edo State College Nursing Sciences as part
with the business